Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tony D Music Channel. Today, I want to give you my thoughts on an album extremely special to me. That's Paul McCartney's album, Chaos Creation in the Backyard, released September 12th, 2005. Now, that was a very important time for me because it had been about 3 years since I was listening to the Beatles, and I decided I should start collecting the solo music of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And I remember going to Best Buy on that day, maybe the following weekend, and I not only bought this album for the first time, but I bought the Wingspan compilation for the first time. And I'm really glad that I did. I'm really glad I bought those two at the same time, because you really hear how different. Now, this is the compilation of Paul McCartney's solo material from 1970 to 84. They call it Wingspan, but it has Wings on it and a lot of McCartney solo from that time period. And listening to that, the songs from that compilation, and listening to this incredible album that I will talk about in a moment, you really hear just how different Paul McCartney material was back then from this album. Now, Chaos Creation in the Backyard was the third album Paul recorded after Linda McCartney, his wife. Sally died of breast cancer, and then he married Heather Mills. And you have a few songs on this album that do touch on Linda, and you have many songs that touch on the very tumultuous time in his marriage with Heather Mills. Now, I also have this vinyl record of Chaos Creation in the Backyard with that cover photo that Mike McCartney took. And that's a photo from his childhood right there. Isn't that a great photo? That photo was taken in 1952. Now, this photo, I consider this one of the best album covers of Paul's whole career, of all those albums. Because this photo, now when I was a kid, I knew this is the cover. I didn't really take it off. I just had this. But this photo is very representative of the kind of music on this album, because it's a photo from his childhood. And some of these songs involve Paul looking back on the past. And when I say that, what I mean is looking back on his past with Linda in a few of these songs, I think. But anyway, let's get to the songs. The album starts off with the one rocker on the album, and that would be the song called Fine Line, with lyrics like, "There is a fine line between recklessness and courage. It's about time you understood which one to take, which road to take. It's a fine line, and your decision makes a difference. Get it wrong, making a big mistake. Come home, brother, all was forgiven. We all cry when you were driven away." Now, one reason why this is my favorite McCartney album and favorite album of all time is because these songs are so enigmatic and so mysterious, so personal to Paul. And this song, I've been trying to figure out what it's about. I still don't really know for sure. He sings about a brother who he's estranged from. Now, someone told me online that Paul's son James was estranged from him when he was married to Heather Mills, because none of his kids liked Heather Mills. So that makes sense. Some people do refer to their sons as brothers. You've got to choose what you want to do, whatever's more important to be. Well, that's the views that you've got to see. And there are two songs in this album that mention the title of this album on there, Chaos Creation in the Backyard. And in this song he sings, "It's a long way, and every contradiction seems the same. It's a game that you're bound to lose. There is a long way between chaos and creation. Come on back, come on back. That song is fantastic. Um, and I do want to mention that another thing about this album that just absolutely blows me away is that on the advice of Nigel Godrich, the genius producer, Paul played a majority of the instruments on this album. Wasn't his choice at all. It was the choice of Nigel Godrich. And we have to give that man a ton of credit for this. If you just look at the credits on this album, on this one song, on Fine Line, he plays grand piano, another piano called the Baldwin Spinet, Hofner bass, of course, Paul's bass, Epiphone Casino, another piano, I believe. Or, no, that's a guitar. Electric guitar, acoustic guitar. He played the drums, the shakers, tambourine, and of course the vocals. And then with strings performed by other people. Paul's not a string musician. But I can list more on this album, the instruments that Paul played from. I mean, we know that Paul is incredibly gifted. But to play all of these instruments so well on one album, obviously not all at the same time, but this is one of the things that just makes my brain explode listening to this, and the fact that Paul played all these instruments. I gotta go on a second track, which, again, another track that just blows my mind, and that's How Kind of You. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a few songs on this album that I think are about Linda. At least two. And How Kind of You is one of those. And it's one of those very unique Paul McCartney songs that I consider to be both beautiful and eerie at the same time. And these lyrics are so poetic. How kind of you to think of me when I was out of sorts. It really meant a lot to be in someone else's thoughts, someone else's mind, someone else's kind. As you, the thoughtfulness you showed has made a difference in my life. I won't forget how unafraid you were that long dark night. Now, when I was 15 hearing this, I remember thinking, what happened to Paul on that long dark night? Because he really paints a horrifying story in this song, and then paints a picture of someone lovely who saved him. But having read about Paul and about these songs, it's not about him. The line, how unafraid you were that long dark night, that's about Linda, and about how she was unafraid to die of cancer back in '98. I thought that all was lost. I thought I'd never find a someone quite as kind as you. I thought my faith had gone. I thought there couldn't be a someone who was there for me. How kind of you to stick by me during the final bout and listen to the referee as I was counted out. I thought my time was up. I thought I'd never find a someone quite as kind as you. I thought my faith had gone. I thought there couldn't be a someone who was there for me. It's so beautiful. And I think that latter part of the song is addressing how Linda really saved Paul from the depression he faced after the Beatles broke up, and he was not sure what to do with his life. But this song, I gotta say, not just lyrically, but musically, is brilliant. It starts off with these tape loops of piano, and then it really has this piano section that sounds really horrifying, like it's a horror movie. And Paul sounds like he's a ghost. And then you hear the drums come in, and then and then it changes to a very lovely mood, which is so brilliant because that's like what he's describing in his life, how he was horrified, nobody would be there for him, and then somebody was there for him. It's one of the best songs from Paul McCartney's whole career ever, and it's just so brilliant. And then we get to another one of the best Paul McCartney songs ever, and it's a song about a bird, about a girl bird, and that's of course Jenny Wren. Jenny Wren has Paul on acoustic guitar doing a very similar finger-picking guitar style that he did on Blackbird, the classic song from '58. Like so many girls, Jenny Wren could sing, but a broken heart took her song away. Like the other girls, Jenny Wren took wing. She could see the world and its foolish ways, casting love aside, losing sight of life day by day. She saw poverty breaking up a home. Wounded warriors took her song away. But the day will come, Jenny Wren will sing, when the broken world mends its foolish ways. Then we'll spend our days catching up on life. All because of you, Jenny Wren. You saw who we are, Jenny Wren. What a gorgeous, gorgeous song about a bird. That's what Jenny Wren is. And it's one of those beautiful, beautiful songs that I don't know where this came from Paul. I don't. But those are just beautiful lyrics. It's lovely that Paul could write a song like that about a bird. Who else does that but Paul? Who else? And then we get to one of the songs that I think describes some trouble in the McCartney-Heather Mills marriage. And that's At the Mercy, where he sings, "At the mercy of a busy road, who can handle such a heavy load? At the mercy of a busy day, we can think of nothing more to say." Sounds like some boredom in their marriage. "If you show me love, I won't refuse. I know you never made me choose between the love I got and the love I'd lose. Sometimes I'd rather run and hide than stay and face the fear inside." Sounds sort of like there's some other woman tempting Paul with love. Who knows? It's very mysterious, a lot of the songs in this album. Very mysterious. And I just want to say I love that kind of vibe on an album from an artist. I don't want just like basic rock and roll. I want something very intimate, something very mysterious. Someone describing a traumatic time in their life. Much like Tom Petty did on his album Wildflower from '94, where he's writing songs about his depression from his marriage breaking up. Or Neil Young's On the Beach album. Or John Lennon's Walls and Bridges album. Or John Lennon's Classic Going Band album. I just love those kind of very personal statements from singer-songwriters. I find that way more fascinating than just rock and roll and pop that, is just for entertainment. I love that. But there are more wonderful lyrics from At the Mercy. At the mercy, we watch the universe explode. If you take me up, I won't say no. I guess you'd rather see me grow into a better man than the one you know. Sometimes my head is hanging low, but it's time to get on with this show. Again, one of those few songs in Paul's catalog that shows a really depressed, sad side of him. And being a hero of mine, I don't typically think of him as someone who feels depressed, but there have been times in Paul's life where he has faced that. We know after the Beatles broke up, he was the one who took it the hardest, and he was depressed for a while. Linda got him out of it. Linda told him, "You're a musician, you need to make music." I'm sure that when John was sadly killed, Paul felt very depressed, which is why it was important for him to have comforting people around him. I'm sure when Linda died, Paul felt depressed. And, of course, he quickly rebounded to marry Heather Mills. And I don't think that really helped the situation. I think he should have just stayed single, but he wanted to get married right away. Oh, Paul, why'd you do it? Fools rush in, is all I'll say to that. Now, this album has many of my favorite songs from Paul's entire career. And this next one is one of those. Friends to Go. A song Paul has said many times was inspired by George Harrison which I don't understand at all. For a long time, I thought he meant the lyrics were inspired by George, so I thought maybe he meant it was about the last time he saw George, but I don't think that's true now. He claims that it's just the finger-picking guitar style that was inspired by George. Now, when I was 15, this is one of those songs I would try to listen to every day after school. I remember that so well. Anyway, here are the lyrics. I've been waiting on the other side for your friends to leave, so I don't have to hide. I prefer they didn't know, so I've been waiting on the other side for your friends to go. So clearly Paul is trying to avoid people he doesn't want to see. Maybe it's about Heather and her friends Paul wants to avoid. She probably had friends he wouldn't like. Who knows? And then he gets some weird imagery here. I've been sliding down a slippy slope. I've been climbing up a slowly burning rope, but the flame is getting low. What could that mean, I wonder? What could that mean? Perhaps the flame that's burning low is his patience and maybe it's his breaking point in the marriage? Who knows? You never need to worry about me. I'll be fine on my own. Someone else can worry about me. I've spent a lot of time on my own. Now that's a shocking lyric from Paul. Someone that I don't think of as spending a lot of time on his own. We know that when he and Linda were together, they were such great soulmates that they literally spent every day together, except for these several days when he was in a prison in Japan for having weed. So for him to say he spent a lot of time on his own, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the Paul I know. I've been waiting till the danger passed. I don't know how long the storm is going to last. We're going to carry on. Again, I think he's talking about his marriage to Heather Mills right there. So tell me what I want to know. I'll be waiting on the other side for your friends to go. I just love this song so much. Again, there's so much going on in those lyrics and in the music, where you got so much going on. You got a flugelhorn played by Paul, an instrument I never fucking heard of. I just love that word too. It's a great word, flugelhorn. Paul Simon's also used flugelhorn on his albums. But yeah, if you think you know what those lyrics are about, please tell me. I really want to know what all this is all about. Which is why I love this album so much. It's not blatant at all. And Paul has rarely talked about these songs in interviews and things. And I doubt he's going to tell us what these songs are about. Now, next on the album, we get to one of the few poppy, upbeat songs on the album. And that's, of course, English Tea. A song that I saw him perform on the Ellen DeGeneres show. That takes me back. Simpler times. English Tea is a very simple, poppy song just about enjoying English tea. Would you care to sit with me for a cup of English tea? Very twee. Very British word, that is. Very me, any sunny morning. What a pleasure it would be, chatting so delightfully. Nanny bakes fairy cakes every Sunday morning. Miles and miles of English garden, stretching past the willow tree. Lines of hollyhocks and roses. I don't know what that means. It's very British. I am not British. Listen most attentively. Very gay, hip hooray. Do you know a game croquet? Peradventure we might play. And there are tubular bells in this song. Very cool. Like I said, the only one of the few upbeat parts of the album. English Tea. Very simple song. Oh boy. There's a song on this album that really changed my life. For the better. And that is Too Much Rain, of course. To me, this was always one of those songs where Paul is giving people advice. Giving advice to people who are lonely and sad and depressed. And it's his way of giving them advice to be happy. And that's Too Much Rain. It has an auto harp on it. That is just so cool. But I love these lyrics so much. Laugh when your eyes are burning. Smile when your heart is filled with pain. Sigh as you brush away your sorrow. Make a vow that it's not gonna happen again. It's not right in one life. Too much rain. It's too much for anyone. Too hard for anyone. Who wants a happy and peaceful life? You've gotta learn to laugh. Those lyrics were so profound for me as a 15-year-old who was not happy at all at that time. High school was the far worst years for me. And this song really taught me that when you're down, just try to be positive and laugh things off, and things might get better. Why do the tears run down your face? We used to hide away our feelings, but for now, tell yourself it won't happen again. It's not right in one life. Too much rain. It's too much for anyone. Too hard for anyone. Who wants a happy and peaceful life? You've got to learn to laugh. I really do credit that song with getting me to have a more positive outlook and at least laughing off awful things in my life and awful feelings. I definitely remember there was one day when I was 21 and I might have stepped in mud or snow or something, and I just laughed about it. As Paul says to do in the song, I just laughed about it. And Paul has said that he got inspiration for this song from this Charlie Chaplin song called Smile. He also said, I believe, that he wanted to write that song to cheer up his then wife, Heather Mills, who, of course, had a traumatic life, losing a leg. But more so than Heather, this song has cheered me up. Yeah, sigh as I think about tomorrow. Make a vow that you want to be happy again. It's... I really appreciate Paul writing a song like this. And in a future video, I'm gonna discuss the several McCartney songs that are like this one, that shed a light on lonely people and give them advice. And now to go to another song on the album that I think is just fantastic, and that's a lovely little ballad called "A Certain Softness," with a very Latin feel to it. With lyrics like, "A certain softness in her eyes fascinates me more than I ever thought it would. A certain softness, more than I ever thought it could. A certain softness in her eyes got me hooked, got me hooked. A kind of sadness in her smile." Not a lyric you often hear in pop songs. Not a lyric you often hear. "If I could even find the words to tell her, I wouldn't want to anyway, 'cause that would only break the spell, and you know very well I couldn't betray her." I never know what that meant. Why can't he betray her? What does that mean? Like I said, very mysterious songs on here. Who is he betraying? Now maybe his next wife's already in his life, and this song is about her, as in he can't betray his current wife. Who knows? Now, Paul does a wonderful, beautiful falsetto on this song that I just love. And also, I love these lyrics. "A touch of wildness in her style haunts my memory more than I ever thought it would." A touch of wildness. "Got me hooked, got me hooked. A touch of a certain softness in her eyes fascinates me more than I ever thought it would. A certain softness got me hooked." Now maybe, another theory, maybe this song is Paul looking back on Linda. You could say she had a touch of wildness, maybe. Or maybe it is Heather, who I think had a wild side. And I'm not going to go into that right now. But this is one of the most beautiful and unique songs on the album, in my opinion. You've got a triangle on here, a cymbal, a gong. It's wonderful. And then, of course, we go to one of the most profound songs in the album, Riding to Vanity Fair, where Paul is singing about somebody who has let him down in life. Possibly a friend, possibly a wife. This is one of the songs that was a bit changed by making the album. At first, Paul wanted a bit fast-paced. Nigel Godrich said, no, make it slow. Nigel Godrich was right to say that. I bit my tongue. I never talked too much. I tried to be so strong. I did my best. I used a gentle touch. I've done it for so long. You put me down, but I can laugh it off and act like nothing's wrong. Now, those lyrics sound like someone who's being bullied or abused by someone. Having been bullied, I can relate to these lyrics. But why pretend? I think I've heard enough of your familiar song. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll try to take my mind off you. And now that you don't need my help, I've used the time to think about myself. You're not aware of what you put me through, but now the feeling's gone. But I don't mind. Do what you have to do. You don't fool anyone. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll take a different point of view. And now that you don't need my help, I'll use the time to think about myself. Now here's where the song takes a turn and makes me think it's not about Heather, or it could be. The definition of friendship apparently ought to be showing support for the one that you love. And I was open to friendship, but you don't seem to have any to spare while you were riding to Vanity Fair. Now, could that be about Heather? Could it be about someone else? There was a rumor. It's about a publicist Paul had. But is someone really close friends with her publicist? I don't know about that rumor. I lean towards it being about Heather. And the fact that this song is so slow and so intimate and so sparse really adds to the drama of these lyrics. And then he goes into, there was a time when every day was young, the sun would always shine. We sang along, all the songs were sung, believing every line. Now that leads me to think he's singing about the early days of his relationship with Heather and their happier times. Again, I don't know how you could think this is not about Heather. I think it's clearly about her. This is a breakup song, really. That's the trouble with friendship. For someone to feel it has to be real, or it wouldn't be right. And I keep hoping for friendship, but I wouldn't dare to presume it was there while you were riding to Vanity Fair. Beautiful, beautiful song. And I really think it's about his breakup, even though it was before they officially broke up. Much like back in the 60s when Paul wrote that song For No One, basically writing about a breakup before he broke up with Jane Asher. And then we get into a song on the album that I love. It's not one of my favorites, but it's lovely. It's good. And that's Follow Me, one of the songs from the album that Paul sang live in concert, my first concert. And that's Follow Me. You lift up my spirits, you shine on my soul. Whenever I'm empty, you make me feel whole. I can rely on you to guide me through any situation. Typical lovely love song from Paul, similar to the songs he's been writing for the past 60 years. It's a lovely song. Now, unlike most songs on this album, this song has Rusty Anderson and Brian Ray on it, and Abe from his touring band. You lead me to places that I've never been, uncovering secrets I've never seen. I can rely on you to guide me through any situation. This song is just so beautiful. Down the track of loneliness, down the path of love, through the woods of heartache to the end, on the shores of sorrow, where the waves of hope crash in, the perfect place for me to find a friend. Like I said, you got some songs in this album that are really somber. You got songs in here that paint a picture of love, like this one. So it's really a mixed bag right here of songs painting a picture of Paul's marriage falling apart, and a few songs painting a happy picture like this one. It makes you wonder if maybe Follow Me is about looking back on his past with Linda, maybe. And he was far happier with her. Now, the next song, I believe very strongly, is about Linda. And that's Promise to You, Girl. One of the few songs on the album that has a really rocking tone to it. And mentions the backyard, like the title of the album, Consecration in the Backyard. Looking through the backyard of my life, as in looking at his past, time to sweep the fallen leaves away. Like the sun that rises every day, we can chase the dark clouds from the sky. And now he's pounding on the piano in the song. I gave my promise to you, girl. I don't want to take it back. You and me, side by side, we know how to change the world. That is why I gave my promise to you, girl. Now, I think he's singing about Linda in there because, of course, he and Linda were both ardent activists for animal rights and things like that, especially in the early 90s. And I think it's wonderful that Paul is singing about his past love in this song here, 2005. Why wait another day? That won't get us anywhere. All the time that it takes to repair this brave old world will be ours. I gave my promise to you, girl. Every single second of our lives we can use to chase the clouds away. This is beautiful. So beautiful. I think it's very similar to, in lyrics, I think it's very similar to Hope of Deliverance from back in 93. Which very much was about Paul and some partner saving the world from the darkness that surrounds it. And you hear that in this song also. It's so lovely. And like every other song in this album, a real cacophony of instruments on this song. You got two pianos, you got bass, electric guitar, drums, a moog. A moog, by the way, was the synthesizer instrument that Linda learned to play back in the 70s and played until her sad death. So, again, that's why I think Linda is the one big reference in this song. And then we go to one of the most beautiful Paul McCartney ballads he's ever written. And that is This Never Happened Before. Now, who it's about, I don't know. Could be about Heather. But whether it's about a real person or not, Paul is just brilliant with these ballads. I'm very sure this never happened to me before. I met you and now I see this never happened before. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it should be for lovers. They shouldn't go it alone. It's not so good when you're on your own. So come to me. Now we can be what we want to be. I love you, and now I see this is the way it should be for lovers. They shouldn't go it alone. It's not so good when you're on your own. I met you, and now I'm sure this never happened before. This never happened before. Again, it's a truly gorgeous love song from Paul. Something he's been so brilliant at doing in the past 60 years. But this is one of the best. One of the best of the past 25 years of his career. One of the best of his entire career, in my opinion. And it just feels like one of those songs that Paul can so easily write. It kind of makes you mad at how good he is at this. But also so happy that he's giving us these gifts of these gorgeous love songs. Love songs that you could dedicate to a lover if you have one. Paul has told a story that he had a massage from a woman, and then he just gave her a recording of this song to use at her wedding, and she liked it. I think that is so funny. It's just a lovely love song and ranks among his best ballads. And I'm going to get to the last song, called Anyway. Now, there is a rumor that Paul was waiting a long time for a call from Heather, and that's what this song is about. I'm not sure how much I believe that rumor. There's also a rumor that the song is about his son James and waiting for a phone call from him because they were estranged. I don't know. But that doesn't matter to me right now because this song is so beautiful. If you love me, won't you call me? I've been waiting too long. And my soul is constant yearning, always singing this song. Only love is strong enough to take it on the chin. When did I begin to fall? Anyway, you can make that call. You'll feel free to make yourself at home. If we could be closer longer, that would help me so much. We can cure each other's sorrow. Won't you please get in touch? If love is strong enough, it may never end. Why would I pretend to fall? Anyway, you can make that call. Truly a perfect song to end this album that I just think is so perfect in and of itself. And by the way, it's not the end of the album, because then there's this instrumental hidden track called I've Only Got Two Hands, which is so well hidden, I didn't know it was there until just a few years ago. I thought it was part of the song. And if that's true that that song is about Heather, then that's really beautiful. And again, it just shows Paul's brilliant ability to write these love ballads. Again, this is an album that I listen to constantly. This is an album that I listened to constantly when I was a teenager. It really made me happy at a time when I was not. And all throughout my life, this is an album that I listened to a lot. I mean, not that often. I certainly didn't want to play it so much like I fatigued of it. But now I'm so thrilled because I have it on vinyl, and I want to show you that I have it on gold vinyl. Gold. Colored vinyl is just the coolest thing. Just the bee's knees of music. But yeah, my favorite kind of albums are something where a singer-songwriter does something so different and then lets you in on something personal and intimate in their life. And it's not often that Paul McCartney has done that. Most of his albums are not like that, as opposed to John Lennon, who's done that on most of his albums. I would say all of his albums are about what's going on in his life. But Paul, there has to be something traumatic going on in his life, or reacting to something traumatic, for him to really dig down deep and give him an album like that. And this is my favorite album by Paul McCartney, and my favorite album by anybody of all time. And it means so much to me that he created an album that's personal. And I just think it's incredible, as I've said before, that he plays instruments on the album that I've never heard of. I didn't know what a flugelhorn was. And on the song Jenny Wren, somebody else plays a wonderful instrument called a duduk, which just sounds so lovely. And this album is just out of this world. And tell me what you think about this, please, in the comments. And please share and like this video. Look at that photo. Look at that young Paul. He was 20 years old then, maybe 19. You can see him with the guitar. And that's Paul at 63. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. And here's a lovely drawing on the album. Thank you very much.